Hello, it's Phil Harvey here at the Fiber Connect show in, where are we? Nashville. And as we're getting later in the day, I'm going off topic because my interviews are falling apart. I'm getting really tired, but I'm very excited to talk to my next guest, Autumn Nicholas, who is a singer-songwriter. I would say emerging, but you're pretty closer to being established musician here in the Nashville scene.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Glad to be here.
So there's a thing happening at the Fiber Connect show tonight, a singer-songwriter showcase. Can you give us a little bit of info on what that is and what we can expect?
Yeah, of course. I believe we're going on at 8 o'clock tonight. It's a bit of, I want to say we call it the Nashville experience. This way we're kind of bringing a Nashville songwriters round to this experience. And I think everyone that we want to kind of interact with, we want to tell a story with a song. So the goal is for each artist to sing a song that they've written themselves and then explain why and where it came from, and then sometimes where the song is going. So if they've written it for another artist or if it's up for sale, basically, that's what they're going to do, is kind of showcase what we've done so far and then maybe where they're going with their music.
Excellent. When you said that, it just jogged a sort of a thing. I kind of forget sometimes that because the music business is such a business that like so many songwriters are not just doing their own material, they're performing other people's songs and then they're selling their songs to other people, and it's just kind of a moving marketplace or whatever.
Right.
In the whole, well, let's talk about your music in particular real quick. I want to know about your musical influences, but I want them to kind of be, but maybe we could go into two different categories. Some that are obvious when we hear your music, and then maybe some that are not so obvious when we hear your music.
Okay. Let's do obvious maybe to start with.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Whitney Houston, a lot of Four Non Blondes and TLC. Like my mom and dad used to listen to like that type of music when I was younger, and I like pulled different textures and tones just because the way they reach people through their soul sound, it kind of just reached me and it stuck with me for like high notes and low notes. And then on the other scale of things where I might not be so similar, I really love, well, Tracy Chapman, I might be similar, but Dermot Kennedy, Ed Sheeran, there's, of course, when you ask someone, they forget all of their favorites.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll ramble a bit and some of them will come back up. I mean, well, the reason I asked that in particular is kind of a lead into the idea of musical genres. One of the toughest things for, is I've listened to damn near anything and everything, but I love discovering new artists sometimes that you sort of listen to and you go, I'm not really sure where to put this, in the classical sort of things. And I think of you because you've got a sound that is soulful, and it could be folk or it could be country. Singer-songwriter is sometimes a category and sometimes it's not. If it's a little faster, it could be pop.
Right.
What is your thought on where you place your music in a genre? If you own the record store and you had to put your vinyl somewhere, what category would it be in? Or would you just maybe sprinkle it around the shop?
I would probably have to break the album off in pieces and put it all over like genre. We just spoke about this, I think, a couple of days ago with a company called Black Opry. They're a country-based company that is trying to really push country artists, black country artists forward, but it's getting a little harder because we're all kind of individual lanes. So we are artists, we're artists of color, but now I'm realizing that some days I'm pop, some songs I'm country, some songs I'm, soul. But I wouldn't be able to just go into one lane in a store for sure. But I think we've settled on maybe a pop soul. If that could cross a line a little bit, that would be it for sure.
Yeah, I think the slash does a lot of work there.
I know.
That's great.
I'm trying. One day they'll let it.
What types of music are you listening to at the moment, or what sort of catches your ear as you're discovering new artists yourself or new influences?
So I've been around a lot of independent artists right now, just because we're basically climbing the ladder together, and I've run into a group called Troubadour Blue. They're folk, but they're like soul and folk mixed together again. I've met Kentucky Gentlemen, just some amazing genre artists that exactly don't fit in a place either. And they're kind of on my mind and weighing heavy on my songwriting, just because I feel like they're telling stories, but in a way that make it easy to sing along, but also there's a story involved. It's not just something super simple, which most radio hits are pretty simple, which is fair. But something that has a little bit more gut to it is what I'm kind of interested in right now. Truly.
Cool. Does the material for your songs? Well, I know the answer, but for everybody else, the material for your songs come from a specific place, or do you tend to vary the narrative? You know, sometimes it's exactly true, and sometimes it's a little bit of a character, you know, maybe a compilation of different people or whatever.
I do think it's definitely a combination. I think when I have to write songs specifically for someone or something, you kind of stay in that lane that they want you to be in.
Yeah.
But right now, I think I'm sticking towards conversations that are kind of hard. I love to put them into music because it's easier conversation to have. If you're singing about a hard topic, people are more likely to listen. Where I feel like if we're talking about a hard topic, people are going to be like, oh, this is like a horrible conversation to have. However, if I kind of sing a song or yell a song at you or yell a topic at you, it can become something that's, I don't know, more kind of like a universal conversation. And for me, working with other artists, I try to adapt to what they need and what they want. I'm working with an artist tomorrow. Their genre is entirely different than mine. And it's more solidly pop, more country pop. And so I'm going to be writing more of that soon. And so I'm trying to understand both lanes of when I'm writing out of character and then in character.
Right. So, yeah, that's a good way to put it. How does, I mean, because that's the whole, I guess, aspect of performance, right? It's like you're performing to whatever the situation demands. What's it been like? So, I mean, you know, the context of this question is, you know, we saw you perform here at this show last year, and it was amazing how much attention you can kind of command the room. You have a great stage presence, and the songwriting was phenomenal, and even in a crowded, like, kind of cocktail party, people were actually stopping and listening to the music, which I think is a great sign. What's it been like for you in a city like Nashville? Because this is both one of the most supportive places, but also one of the most competitive for musicians. And so, how have you been finding it as far as the business itself, but just also live performing in general?
Right. Being here only a year, I think I've played a lot. In the first, I want to say 3 months, it was 75 shows I've played. And I don't know how many since then, but I think it was kind of like a give and take. I was fighting to get in, but then I was also fighting to stand out. Like you're saying, you kind of have to fight for that energy on the stage to demand a little bit of attention, but also I've learned recently that sometimes just being delicate and sure of something that you're doing is loud enough, which was really hard for me at first to learn. I come from a place where I was just singing to people in bars, and that was really hard because I was just a jukebox, like a literal body of jukebox, and now I'm in a place where people want to hear the stories, but they also want to make sure that you're rising in caliber of like the stories you're singing about. And I think that's I like being here because it keeps me on my toes rather than just keeps me feeling like settled.
Yeah, so. That's interesting. How because you've played so many shows, what are some of the more unique venues you've played in? You know, either amazing or nightmares, whatever you like.
Amazing venues. I've played at the Old Red, which was really cool. It was really epic for me. Just the first month of being here, I got to play at an amazing venue, and then I got to play for the CMAs recently, so it was a fanfare stage. I think I got to stand next to people that I think I see on TV like more often, and it was really humbling to know that as we climb the ladder, we get to be near and be in places that you wouldn't expect. A terrifying show was probably at this very scary bar that still allowed smoking inside. Like, we walked in and it was
that's old school.
Yeah. They were like, can we get you a cigarette? I was like, oh my gosh, this is the weirdest thing. But that was like but they were the nicest people, strangest place, nicest people.
Yeah. But that's a good combo, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. To wrap up, because you've got stuff to do and you've got a show tonight, as we're seeing this. Let's do some plugs. Plug something that you're working on or that you're passionate about or directly involved in, and then to offset the ego karma, plug something you have nothing to do with that you just like.
Perfect. So my plug would probably be, I'm working on a new single. It's called Made Yet. I know we're going to release it sometime this summer.
Okay.
And then I have my own writers round here called Be an Original. The goal is to kind of intermingle artists with other artists that you kind of want to work with. So it's kind of like if they have the dating apps, I'm doing it for artists, like to connect. So I'm like, oh, you would work really well with, or I would work really well with, and then you kind of put us in the same room. This way we're forced to create together. So Be an Original Night's something that we're definitely pushing to get larger so that other artists can find other, I guess, lanes to learn and grow from. And then an unplug would be Black Opry. Just truly, they're making a huge change in the world that I am a part of, but I think it's its own entity, and if you have any time to go look it up, please do.
Okay, I certainly will. Autumn Nicholas,
Awesome.
Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.